Alright, let's do this. Hope everybody's doing alright. Ooh. Yeah. I don't really have anything new to report. I'm getting antsy, worried, excited. And all that fun stuff. With October coming up, I think it's the first time in 4 years. I know that I did orcs. I know I did a certain thing, and I think I did it in October on purpose. But I don't think I was really doing like an October thing. Right before I became a streamer, I quit. Right before I became a streamer, I quit 40K. Let's get gas today. Let's figure out how to get gas today. Alright, let's do this. That's it. I think I did it. I didn't do it. Well, that's the hood. I don't know where the gas is. I guess we're never getting gas. Let's sit here. We're gonna do something crazy. 326. Alright, where is the... Tells me how to put in a car seat, but doesn't tell me where the fuel is. Two, 328, which is I think where I was. Unlock the fuel here. Press the unlock on the key fob. It's on my key fob. Holy shit. Holy shit. Okay. I am such a moron. It's 328, right? You gotta be kidding me. Push the rules here. Should open automatically. All right. Sorry about me being kind of a moron. I do not know where anything is on this car. So it turns out all I had to do was push it in. Who knew? They don't lock them anymore, huh? Crazy, crazy. All right, we're almost done. Okay, all right. Oh. Okay. I forgot what I was even talking about before I got gas. What a freaking mess. First time getting gas, yay! I successfully got gas, yay! Yeah, not really much to report, but yeah, so I was talking about orcs. Orcs. I could talk of days for orcs. But, yeah, the year before I started streaming, actually it was close to 2 years before, I was going down to my local gaming shop, and I was playing 40K for the year. I had given myself, because somebody had talked about how everything has changed for the better, and they're very orc friendly. And I was like, that scares me. They're going to be doing a huge thing for October. And I was like, my car just told me to keep my eyes on the road. I was like, that's insane. That's like Games Workshop has basically done away with all their normal stuff, which was basically, we hate the orcs. The orcs don't matter. They're pretty much the kick toy for the Space Marines. Humans matter. And you know what? I think there's always a human faction that's always the more popular. It's like once you start getting into the human factions, I remember somebody asked Henry Cavill, what his favorite are, and he basically said two freaking humans, salamanders and another. And I was just like, it's just two human factions. Who cares? Why would you play human factions? And they're freaking, and their shit's freaking not even great. I mean, you might as well play Tau. I'm definitely in the Xeno part of. I'm not a big fan of the human factions. I mean, obviously the reporter wanted him to be like talking about Space Wolves, which human faction. And he was just like not really having it. Yeah, no. But I don't know what it's like to even like a human faction. I don't even know what it's like to build a human faction army. I don't care. It's always been 100% works for me. And to give it its due and to say something nice about Games Workshop before I freaking rip them apart again like I normally do, they were very orc-centric. To my dismay, they got rid of kit bashing and everything like that. But what the rumors for October were true. So I got back into it. And 8th edition, got the codex, spent a lot of money. Was all in, all 100% in. This is like right before the Beast Nagas came out, but right when the buggy, I can't even think of the names of them. But the buggy, the rocket, and the race car, the Formula One race car. It's like a little freaking insane. so I was all in, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, and the year passed, and I was just not having fun. I've talked endlessly about, like, how I, have my version of Gorka Morka, which is called Desolation, and Desolation is pretty much an all-orc game, but it allows for other factions and other things and all sorts of creativity to be involved in it. And the only thing with, if you use another faction, the other faction has to basically get fed. Orcs don't need to have a in Desolation, orcs don't need to have a what do you call they're random, so they basically multiply very quickly. Against a human faction, they would eventually, no matter what, the orcs would eventually wipe them out if the human faction wasn't constantly getting reinforcements. And I did account for that, like Tyranid egg hatching. Obviously drop ships. Teleporting. Maintaining a teleporter. Obviously, if they lose the teleporter, you kind of lose the game. Things like that. I spent a lot of time doing it. And I was going to play test it. Like I said, it was an old game that I upgraded to 8th edition, based firmly with the Gorka Morka system, but I did my own thing, and it's basically a dead planet. Or a seemingly dead planet, which an orc meteorite lands on. That's literally the entire premise of it. And if somebody doesn't want to be that faction of orcs, they can have another meteorite hit the planet. Desolation is very what do you call it's called Desolation because it's the name of the planet, but it doesn't have, there's no set rules on what happens or goes on and stuff like that. You are basically a lost colony, a forgotten army. Originally I played it where Necrons are in the process of trying to wake up. The wake up thing failed, so that they're only waking up little drips and drabs, and they end up having the same type of thing that the orcs have. So it was very similar. they're orcs. And yeah, so things like that. There's always things that could happen. But never mind. I got a bunch of people that were all interested in it, supposedly, and I went down to the gaming store, reserved a table, and nobody showed up. I sat there for 4 hours alone. Even got invited to go do other things, and nope. I reserved this table, and then somebody wanted to play. It wasn't Pokemon. It wasn't Magic. It was another card game. So he wanted to play a card game, and they came to my table because my table was the only one available. So I packed up my stuff after 4 hours. I was very, very upset. That happened right before the year was up. That happened in September, and October was right around the corner, and I had already made up my mind not to continue. Somebody online who I was communicating with convinced me to stick it out because October was going to be another blowout, and great, it wasn't. And I think that's when the Beast Nagas and stuff like that all came out. Squig Riders, I always thought was kind of like a cool idea, a cool concept. They'd have had Gretchen or goblins in Age of Sigma, both with squid riding and stuff like that. But it's why ride food? But I'm just kind of I was definitely about the whole thing. So I did stick it out for the last, so I stuck it out for 2 Octobers, and then I quit in November. Actually, November 1st. And just about everybody who I was, in contact with, and well, now it's everybody, but right away. This is how I knew that I really didn't belong anymore. So I quit, but I was still active, and I'm definitely a resource. I'm definitely an orc resource. Please use me. I'm fairly knowledgeable about the whole thing, especially the history. And if somebody needs help, even building an army, I don't know what edition 10's at right now, but I would definitely take a look, and I would definitely help you out, and I would definitely make suggestions. And I can definitely tell you what used to really work. I know that they had a big psyker push, and just so you know, they always talk about how weak psych orcs are, and they're not really weak psychic. They're absolutely more powerful than they realize. Psychic ability, and whether they carry that on, I don't know. But I'm one of those people. I give freely of my time and stuff like that, and I have no problem, especially if you play orcs. You and I are, you and I there. But yeah, if ever it was, you and I, yeah, if there was ever a question with orcs, I'm your guy. Been around since the beginning. I've watched them evolve. You know, I have never given up on orcs. I love them to death. I can do fluff with you. I can talk about how to integrate fluff into your game. All that fun stuff. There's lots of stuff. So that said, as soon as I announced that I was not playing 40K anymore, and it did offer, that if anybody has any questions about orcs or anything like that, yeah, I'm still available. I'm still here. Everybody left me. And I shouldn't say everybody. Everybody but one person unsubscribed here on YouTube, which is where I was doing most of my stuff. I wasn't making videos, but that was who I was following, everything like that. And it was one of those things that I had with YouTube, that I didn't know who was actually following me. Well, they definitely were orc players or 40K players, because as soon as I announced that I was quitting, I mean, not even quit, it was still October, but as soon as I announced that I was quitting, they all dropped me. And I'm acting like going, oh yeah, I must have had 1,000 people. No, it was, I believe, was it 20? It was either 20 or 12. It was something like that. I think I was at 20 at the beginning of October, and before the announcement, I dropped down to 12. And then, when I made the announcement, they literally the next day were gone. And I didn't care, because I wasn't really using this YouTube anyway, and I wasn't making videos, so people not subscribed to me doesn't matter. So, it is what it is. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal, but it was definitely something that I did not take into account when I started up my page. It was not something that I was even looking at, because it didn't matter to me, and I didn't think that it was going to be that big of a deal. I didn't think it was going to be. I didn't even count it, and I should have. When I started, because man, thinking about how that whole thing worked out and how finicky people are with their subscriptions, I'm just going, I should have known. how difficult is it to subscribe? Like, what does it even matter? It doesn't cost you anything, and the algorithm will drop me after a while anyway. If you're not watching my videos, it makes no sense. Like I said, it makes no sense to me. And then there's the bots, and I don't even know why people have freaking, they bot farm and freaking all this other stuff. It's like, what the fuck, dude? Inflating numbers is just like it is this. It is the scam of the scam. But yeah, I should have known. I should not have thought that like I was going to be in 3 months monetized. It was literally right there in front of me. Not being for everybody. That took me a long time to do it. But the fact that people who I had long time communications with, I was sending emails to, we were Facebook friends, all that stuff. And yeah, I think a lot of it was because we freaking, I dropped Facebook around the same time as well. But a lot of the people that I followed, they had channels. They were making videos. They were doing like lots of stuff. And hey, don't follow me. Freaking bye. And they can't even say that they were on the unlist. Because when I started making videos here on YouTube, I had 1 subscriber. And I know who that 1 subscriber was. And it wasn't Vicky. It was a miniature painter. She painted miniatures. That's it. That's the only 1 subscriber when I started making videos, and he eventually dropped me. I think he didn't understand why I was making videos, but I will say this: he's the 5-minute challenge, 5-minute painting challenge. He's where that came from. There's a few other things that because I was like doing the whole loyalty thing. But yeah, all but 1, and then eventually he dropped me as well. And I tried to look up some of those people that big orc players and stuff like that, and most of them don't even have channels anymore. Yeah, and that's originally where the people thinking that why are you doing follow for follow? Because I'd like you to follow me. It's kind of of insulting. I don't know. Like, I try to be like really nice and sweet and stuff like that, but like the fact that people don't get that. The fact that they have no interest in me, but I should have interest in them, blows my mind. It 100% blows my mind. That's for another day. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a fantastic time doing it. All right? And I will talk to you soon. All right.